Hello everyone, it's Amy and welcome back to the new Build Your Stash and Craft. Today we're going to do a really easy one. I did not get together the supplies for today's project before we started here, but hopefully you'll have this on hand. And first I thought that I would show you what we did last week, how they look now that they're dry. So this is the one that I had started with, and I changed the coloring on it because I didn't like it. And remember, you can always fix anything if you don't like the way it looks. So I finished the masking tape on there, painted it brown, and put a little bit of gold fingernail polish on the sides. So that was that one, and here was the other one that we were working on, where we did the hot glue on the top with the little mask. And the one thing I realized as I picked this one up this morning, I forgot to put my color of some beads around here to get rid of the little indentation. So, that's kind of the difference that they look like with the beads on them and without. So, but it looks good either way. I just always like to kind of fill in that space. These ones don't fill it in very well, actually. The others do a little better. But again, the gold fingernail polish on there, and a little bit on all around here, just to kind of highlight things up a little bit. So that's how they turned out. And so I've got my little Mardi Gras beads inside this one, and I will be putting those with our stash. So what we're going to do today is make a glue book. Now, glue books are just really there for something to do, to just relax and unwind and just have a good time. That's what creating is all about. It's not about creating something perfect or in a really speedy manner. It's about sitting down and relaxing and enjoying yourself for no reason. You don't have to have a reason to craft or to create anything. You just need to want to relax and have a good time. That's really all there is to it. So I'm going to show you how to do a glue book, how to start a glue book, because I always think I want to do a glue book, but then I never start one. So we're going to start one today, and then it will always be sitting there if you just feel like doing something and you don't know what it is that you want to do. You just glue something in your book. And that's what a glue book is, something that you just glue other stuff into. It could be tickets and mementos and that type of thing. It could just be pictures, colors, whatever you want it to be. There's no rules for it. And also what you use, there's no rules for it. I'm going to show you how to use a magazine. And I learned this from Shannon Green. And so we're just going to start. The only thing we needed to get for today is we need a magazine. And we need a permanent glue stick. Now, you can use other types of glue. I like a glue stick. It's a glue book. It's not for any reason. It doesn't have to last forever. Sometimes glue sticks do let go. If you use a permanent glue stick, it lasts longer. In a permanent glue stick will say permanent, and it will not say washable. If it says washable or kids glue, it's more than likely not a permanent stick glue. Not that it won't stick, but it may not stick as long. Eventually it will let loose, and eventually this possibly could let loose. But that's all right, because if it lets loose later, I've already had the fun. If I need to go back later and glue down a corner here or there, that's okay. Gives me something to do. So, but to make our glue book, because I don't just want it to be like the size or look like a regular magazine, we're just going to adjust it a little bit. So the first thing I do is you want to keep your cover, because that's nice and solid. So I just keep the first page, and then I tear out 3 pages. Now you can do this however you want. If you have a huge magazine, and I apologize if you don't like the ripping sound, you can go ahead and turn it down for just a few minutes till you see me stop ripping. But I tear out 3 pages because that gives us room to glue other things in without having a great big alligator mouth. So that was 3. So I'll take this page and just open that up and tear out 3 more. And but if you have a huge magazine, you could maybe take out 5 or 6 pages if you don't want to have a whole ton of pages left to glue onto. Maybe you only want 20 pages to glue onto. Take everything out but 20 pages. Just take it out, back and forth. Don't take it all. Don't just take out all the pages and leave 20 pages glued right next to each other. Fold a page, take some out. Fold a page, take some out. And so once you've done all of the, we're going to keep this one and take out 3. Once you've gone through the whole magazine and taken out however many pages you want to, and now these pages we're going to keep and we're going to use those too, and we can use them for a few different things. So again, we'll take out 3 pages and leave a page all the way through the whole book. Okay, just like that. So now I've already torn out my 3 pages here and all the way through the book. So once you've torn out all the pages you're going to tear out, then just take the pages that you left, because remember, we're just adjusting the way it looks, and just fold those in half. Just fold them into where the spine is. You have to get right up in the spine. They don't have to be perfect. So we're just going to take all of these that we left through the whole magazine, and we will just fold them. And I kind of, once I fold the first one, then I kind of line the fold up right in that area instead of worrying about how far up there to get it. To make sure you have it straight, you just kind of look at your top and bottom to make sure that you have, so that you don't wind up getting it way off and having a big piece stick out on the bottom or the top of your magazine. That's the only place I really even worry about it, is just I don't want anything sticking out the top or the bottom. If it does, you cut it off. Not a big deal. This is supposed to really just be fun and relaxing. And this part even, I find it actually quite relaxing to just sit and rip out the pages. Again, on film, it sounds a little annoying, but, and maybe you can't stand it, you know, even personally at home, but I really don't mind just sitting there and ripping out the pages. Just, there's something about it that kind of feels good. So I already did the whole back of the book, every 3 pages, and folded it so that this wouldn't take forever. So once you fold it all the way through the whole magazine, it's going to look like this. You'll have your front cover, your back cover, and the pages that are left will be folded in half. And you'll have a lot of gap here, or, you know, not a lot, but you will have space here. So the reason that I took out 3 was because I folded each of these pages that I left in half. Instead of that being the width of 1 page, it's now the width of 2. So this here took up one of the pages, the space of one of the pages I tore out. And that still leaves me 2 pages of space to glue stuff in. And this will have a bit of an alligator mouth when you're done, depending on how thick of stuff you glue in here. And that's totally fine. I just don't like it to be like this big. And whenever you work in a magazine, really, I think with any glue book, if you do some in the front and then some in the back and then some in, you know, some towards the front and some towards the back, it winds up laying better when you're done. Otherwise, it starts, if you do it just from the front or the back, you start getting this really rounded spine that wants to like pull over this way because of the fact that because you kept gluing all front, all the way to the back. So just randomly pick a page and say, I'm going to do this page today. Oh, I think I'll do this page today. And it doesn't matter what's in there, what it looks like, because you're going to glue over top of it. So I used to go through and go, oh, I like that page. And so I wouldn't rip that one out. I'd rip out a different one. Because it doesn't really have to be keep one, leave, or keep one, rip 3. You could keep one, rip 1, and then have one you like and leave it in there and rip a couple more. So there's no rule, hard and fast rule. This was one that I was supposed to leave, and after I ripped out the others, I was like pulling on it to get ready to fold it, and so I was kind of pulling it away from the spine or something. I don't know what I was doing, and I ripped this off. So I just ripped that page out. So there were 6 pages. There was 3 pages that I had already ripped out. That one I left, and the other 3 pages, because I ripped it, I took it out. I could have folded it in half. It wouldn't have made a difference because we're going to cover it up anyways. So I could have just done this. And then when I glued over top of it, you wouldn't have seen it. So, you know, don't let these little things, don't let them get to you. Just go, oh well, and just keep on going. So now that we've done this, I'm going to take the cover and I'm going to fold it in half. And I'm going to fold it back just a touch. I don't want it to stick out a lot, but I'm going to fold it back just a touch so it sticks out just a little bit. gives you a little bit of room to play with. But like I said, you don't want a whole bunch because otherwise it's just going to want to like fold over. So I just like brought that back just a touch, maybe 1/4 of an inch. So when I put that over there, oh, see, when I put that over there, it's still pretty even with those pages. So, which is totally fine. And if I thought, oh, I really want it to stick out a little bit, then I could just go back here and move it back just a little bit more. Because we're going to glue on it too. So it will get more solid. So there we go. Now it's sticking out just a little bit where before it was just about even. Now we're going to take the back one. We're not going to fold that over that way. We're going to fold it this way because we're going to make a little flap. So we're going to fold it over, and I want to make not really a spine, but I want it to be like the spine where we've got a fold and then it comes up and another fold. So I am going to fold it out just a little bit because I want it to be even with this outside edge. So I'm going to say I'm going to need a fold about there, and I'm going to have a fold about there. So that's going to be a little thicker than my spine, and that's because we know it's going to gator mouth a bit, so that'll give us a little room. And then also because it's very flexible, we'll still have more room. Those little marks that where I just folded it, now I'm going to fold that over, line it up with the top. That'll give me a straight line. So there's one of the two little bits of fold, and the other one was right there. So again, line it up with the top. And this is just, I think, just a fun way to have a little glue book. So it's not just, but you can just have a magazine. It doesn't have to be fancy. So there we go. Now we've got a little extra bit there, and we've got this nice little flap over. And so that we can close it and keep it closed without anything special, I'm going to fold this corner in to this outside line here, not back there, but right out here in the front. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to fold it to this nearest fold, just like that. And you can even leave it out just a little bit so it doesn't catch in that fold. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do the same thing here. So now when we fold it over, this one is still here. This one is where we've got this fold. And so that gives us just this little flap that we can now tuck into our front cover. And that will keep it closed. So now what I want to do is I want to decide, we're going to use our metal ruler because that makes it easier. And I am going to just put my metal ruler along the edge of this page. Just like that. And then I'm just going to put a dot because I want to have a straight line here. So above the angle here, I'm going to just put a dot here, or a line, just a bit of a line, and then right down here too. We'll just do a bit of a line. Okay, so one of them is here and one of them is here. Very hard to see because of the dark coloring in the background. And then what we're going to do is we're going to open this up, and if I had my little cutting board, you know, we have a cutting board, but I didn't bring it out here. So since I don't have that, I'm going to, let's see, what do I have here? I have this piece of cardboard sitting here. I kept this because it has this circle on it. I'm going to put this underneath where I want to cut so that I don't cut my table, or in this case, my box here. And then I'm just going to use our razor knife, hold our metal ruler up here, and use the razor knife to cut. And I made a little bit of a line above our folded page, probably 1/4 of an inch. That's where we're going to start, up about 1/4 of an inch, so that it's a little bit taller than that page that's folded there. And then I'm just going to cut right straight down to about 1/4 of an inch, which is about how long that little pencil mark I made was. Just going to go to the bottom of that pencil mark because that should give me a little extra. And then I'm just going to see if I'm cut all the way through. It feels like I am pretty much. So we'll set that aside. And then we can, if it's not cut all the way through, it's definitely cut there. And yeah, it's cut all the way. So we don't need to cut any more of it. Shut your knife up. And now we have our little flap that will tuck into that fold. And I leave it that long because you can bend it to take it out and bend it to put it in. And I leave it a little extra long because that way, if this really starts to get fat, we've got extra flap here to tuck in so that this can get quite a bit fatter and still be able to close. So we'll have, it gives us extra space by leaving all of that there. So then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to glue your flaps down. And so these extra pages work really great to use as glue pages. Before I do that, I'm going to look and see, is there anything on here that I really, really want? And there's not particularly. These are nice letters here. So I could cut those apart. I do like to have a collection of what they call ransom letters, like the old ransom notes, where they would cut the letters out of the newspaper and use each letter to make a word. Those are really fun to use in your glue books. They're fun to use on cards and everything. So you can just take those letters and use them to spell something else. Cut them out individually, put them in a little envelope or something, all of your A's, all of your B's. You can do uppercase and lowercase in the same envelope. So, or you could even do a few letters. You could do all your vowels in one envelope, and then split your consonants up, maybe 3 or 4 to an envelope. So, so that you don't have to have as many envelopes. But you can also use your magazine pages to make envelopes so that you don't have to use your store-bought envelopes. And then use those envelopes to store your ransom letters in. Perfect storage for the ransom letters since it's coming from the same magazine or a magazine. And glossy paper is not the easiest to glue. Like, glossy paper does like to come unglued. That's okay. Don't worry about it. Like I said, if something lifts up, go ahead and glue it back down. You can use water glue. You can use Elmer's glue. You can use whatever type of glue you want. I like the stick glue because stick glue does not make the paper wrinkle. And there are other glues like your Beacons, Fabri-Tac and stuff like that that don't make paper wrinkle. It's because they don't have a water content in them. Now I have to see where... Because I had 2 folds in here, I have to figure out which fold is the correct fold. Hopefully it was that one. Yes, that was the right one. Okay. And so there we go. Now that just gives us a nice solid cover. Sometimes I glue these before I start gluing things together. Like I'll say, okay, I'm going to work on the first page. So I will go ahead and maybe just put some glue here, 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 and just a little or whatever. You don't need a lot, but I may want that edge to be folded down like that. So now that is more of a solid piece of paper instead of 2 pieces. But I don't go through and glue them all. You can, but sometimes I leave them because... See, I don't like that sticking out, so I'm just going to run that glue stick down there and glue it down. Sometimes I just leave them, and then I do them later because I may want to, like, let's say, oh, I really like this one here, and I want to leave that there. I may kind of collage around it and stuff, and then leave that page to open up, and then do the whole inside and fold it back up again. And, you know, not just because I left that on the outside, but that way I don't have stuff collaged here and here and here and here. Like maybe I'll just only collage a little bit of this very thin and then go in and put some stuff on the inside. Or you can go ahead and you could paint it white. You can put a tea-dyed paper or white paper on the inside, or you can write and then fold it up. And so that's in your glue book. It's kind of like a diary glue book, and nobody knows it's there because they're just looking at the glued pages as they flip through. So now, and you're going to want to let this dry nicely before you close things up tightly, because you don't want that glue to get stuck together. But there we go. That is our glue book. And so now you just take the time to start gluing things in there. And if you don't like this look, well, you could just take your magazine. This was a magazine that I needed some of the paper. And so I had cut off like 4 inches wide or something of the magazine. And this is what was left, except it was the full length of the magazine. And so I thought, you know what? I just cut it in half. So then I had 2 of these. And then this was inside the magazine, so I cut it out and put it on the front. So, you know, you can make your, and this is a cute little one. Now, this one does not have any pages out, so if I were to start gluing into this, it would get fat really fast. So before I would glue into this one, I definitely would need to take out some pages if I don't want it to get super fat. And then that all just depends on what your likes are. You know, some people really, really like it to be really fat. So this one here, I made this one just like this. And I get this Vanity Fair magazine, which is a really great magazine for cutting out of and everything. I have no idea why I get it. It just comes to me. And I have checked my credit card. I'm not being charged for it. I never ordered it, but so I don't know if somebody sent it to me or what, but it's a great magazine. And you know, to use this way. But here I've got my pages all folded in half and everything. But this page here, whatever it was that was on the back, there was something here that absolutely just kind of like creeped me out. I just couldn't stand looking at it. So the first thing that I did out of everything was I went ahead and I gessoed it, and I could still see whatever was under there. So then I put some brown paint on it, and then I punched out some little flower punches and put those on there because I could not stand the looks of whatever was on the front there. So, and I'm not even sure, we may have made these glue books already in the series, but I just thought I would show you how I do it. And then what I do after I've done this, another easy, good way to spend some time creating or getting ready to create, is take the pages that you just took out and look through them and find some things you may want. Now, this card came out of there, so this would make a nice journaling card or a flip in your glue book. So this would, you know, it's nice and heavy, so it's something that can be kept and put in with your stash. You can do something with it right away, or you can just keep it as a really nice medium weight paper. But again, like I said, you know, like these letters, you can just go ahead and cut them out because that's a very nice size to make a word out of. You know, like great big letters are kind of cool, but you don't want to make a whole word usually out of huge letters. Sometimes you do, but then it takes up a whole lot of room. But you also don't want teeny tiny letters either. So this is a really nice size letter. So then what I do is I just take them and I just cut them up like this. And if I find a word that I really like, sometimes I will just keep the whole word and I won't cut it apart. And then I put it in a word envelope. Is that? Yeah, that's an A. So see, then you have all of these letters that you can use to write a word. See, there we go. Eat. Take that one away. And so then what I do, if I set that aside, and you can even use the words just like they are. You know, you can cut them apart and just make Texas be bigger. There's a nice, look at Tennessee. Look at all of those letters. Look at all the E's. You use a lot of E's when you're spelling. But let's say you have a page that, now this one here, I really like those pistachios. So I would cut those out. I don't normally, like I try and work on going through these pages A lot of times when I'm just sitting watching TV at night, it's another good couch craft to just sit and cut out different things, or you can rip them out. You don't have to cut them. But I love the coloring in this. And a lot of times, don't forget to look at the back because you might have cut through something that you would have rather had. So kind of flip it over before you do your cuts. But if you cut through something that's like, oh, I would have rather had that, well, you know, then it just wasn't meant to be. You were meant to have those letters for some reason. But look at here. These are great letters. And again, just cut them apart. And that is really fun to use in your creating. So this, I don't see anything more I like. I am going to throw that in my paper recycle bin and get rid of it. These, I'm going to keep in a green. Like I keep folders with different things in them, and I do colors. Do rainbow colors. So this would go in my green box just because it's just so green. You know, I have people or parts of people, you know, just anything that looks interesting, I cut it out. So here I don't necessarily see anything I want. And there I don't necessarily see anything I want. So what you could do with this page then is fold it up. And I like to fold in my corners a bit. Whoops. Just like that. And this is where we can put our ransom letters in this envelope. Now, a lot of times what I will do, I would glue that better, is I fold the edges in like this, because then, to me, it feels like it's more sturdy. So you're going to do the inside of the fold like that, and the outside of the fold like that. So do the inside and then fold it and glue the fold. That's just like double protection, that those edges don't come open, because I'm going to put a lot of little teeny tiny letters in there, and I just don't want, you've got the glue now gluing in two places, it is probably not going to let loose. And have an opening here where all your letters start falling out. So there we go. Now we have an envelope, and we could use this envelope to go ahead and stick our letters in. And again, like I said, I do the letters by what's inside. And so then what I might do is just put a piece of white paper right here. And if I'm going to put T's in there, I would cut this T off and stick it right in the middle of that white paper. And I would know this is T's. And then, of course, I put them in alphabetical order. But, and if you don't want to separate them, you can have an envelope just for things that need to be cut later. And, you know, things do not have to be like this. Could be very interesting. These chopsticks on a page. And depending on how you cut them, how you put them on there, not necessarily look like chopsticks. So, you know, so that would be something, and I would probably put that in with yellow. And even this type of thing. So you have it, and let's cut a heart out of that. So you don't need anything special. You don't need special stickers. You don't need special paper. You don't need anything special to do a glue book. A glue book is just whatever you want to put in there. And so there we go. We have a red heart. Go around the edge with some black maybe, or put it on a white page. And that's really cute. And it doesn't necessarily, you know, when it's just on the page with everything else, you can't really tell what it is. And even if you can, that's part of the fun of it sometimes, is trying to remember what did you cut out. This is a really cool circle. So you can just cut that out and have a circle. You can have, and I do that too. I do some envelopes with circles, some of them with squares, triangles, And then I may do a whole page of just circles, or a whole page of just squares, or a whole page of just one certain letter, one certain color, as I am gluing into my glue book. And it's really fun to collect those types of things. So that's a fun circle for my circle page. And so that's what I do. I go through, and when I get to the point where there is nothing else that I want, then I just go ahead and recycle what's left. That way you don't have as much sitting around. Plus the fact of sometimes when you just want to glue, you don't want to have to go through and find something to glue. You might say, I think I want to glue numbers today. So you want to go to your number envelope and start gluing numbers, whether it's numbering the pages or just putting all the numbers on one page, or just looking for a particular number and only putting that number all over the page in different sizes and colors and fonts. So it's nice to have them. Plus, this is a nice, easy thing to do in the evening, is just to cut things out. It's also easy to just sit and glue. Just a little hard book on your lap, and, you know, just so that you can use your glue stick, and it works really good for that, too. See, and this is very pretty. And this is very pretty. So I might put that in a white page, or in my white envelope, like that. And then maybe rip this out like this, and maybe take the person off so that you really can't tell exactly what it is. And it can go right down the middle of a page, and it would look very cool. So, and if you say, well, you know, like, I don't want to use all magazine pages, maybe I want to put like tickets from concerts I go to, or movies I go to, or whatever. You know, you can use, maybe this is gorgeous, and even just using this as blue and this as blue, and making a blue page, and then using that blue page to put your tickets on, or any special things that you get, birth announcements and that type of thing, if you want your glue book to be a memory glue book. So you can still use it to glue in colors, and then glue your memories on top of it, because some people will look at this and go, well, I don't want to take like the baby announcement and glue it right there. But if that was all blue, it would look pretty with a baby boy announcement on there, and maybe doodle a rattle, or the baby, put in the baby's name, different information like that. Even pictures you can put in them. So glue books can be used for whatever you want to use them for. And your extra pages you can use for, you can roll beads with them. You can roll rolled paper with them. And a lot of people do a lot of things with rolled paper. Now, normally with rolled paper, that's why this, when I had this one here, I only used half of the page, because with rolled paper, you don't need a piece of paper as wide as the whole magazine page. You want the length, and you take a skewer or something like that and put it in the corner. And I normally glue my corners just a little bit. People that do rolled paper a lot, they don't glue it. They just keep on rolling. But you do it at an angle, and actually I'm probably don't have this at enough of an angle. I always have to like play with it for a little bit. And what you do is you just keep rolling, and you do want to kind of keep it a little tight, not super tight so you can't get your thing off, but one end will definitely be tighter than the other. But you do want to remember to try and keep the loose end just a little bit tight. I know that sounds silly. When you get to the end, that is where you do glue it. I'm going to grab a piece of paper to put here. And a lot of times with the rolled paper, I usually do use Elmer's glue, not stick glue at the end. And so there is one roll of rolled paper. Now, you may say, what do I do with that? Well, there's a million things you can do with them. And there are a lot of things on YouTube that you can do with rolled paper. This is rolled paper. So you take your rolled paper. One end is larger than the other, so you take the small end and stick it in the large end. You're going to flatten them, just like that. And then you roll it. Now, you can also use it, you can flatten it, and then you use it to weave it, to make a basket. You can just use them for all sorts of things, but I go ahead and I roll them like this. And when I get to the end here, I stick another one in there. I stick the little skinny end into the big end with a little bit of glue and just continue rolling until I get a roll as big as I want. And then you press up on the roll a little bit like that. And at that point then, once I get it to the shape that I want it, I go ahead and I put water glue on there and let it dry. So I have 2 of them here. Now, these ones are not quite ready, because normally I will have a lip inside here that this one will fit on top of, and I haven't got that far yet. But so there we go. Now I've got this look. Now you can go like this, and you can paint it, put something on it, and it could be a little ring catcher or something like that, you know, on your dresser. This one I'm using to make some turtles, and this is my turtle. So see, there's the bottom, the top, the 2 pieces I just showed you, and then this one I put just a little bit of an edge on it so that that would fit together. And then a little, this is rolled paper for the head, rolled paper for the feet. I only just rolled part of it and then cut it off because I only wanted it to be a certain size. And so this, and then this has tissue paper over the top of it. So this was rolled newspaper, and but I don't have newspaper anymore, so now I usually roll magazine pages. But that's what you can do with your extras. And again, you can use it to roll beads of all sorts. So you could even make beads like this, like the rolled paper, just make it smaller. Or you take your beads and roll them up in different shapes and sizes to make paper beads. So that is our project for today. And I just thought that it would be a nice thing to have, to go ahead and just have there when you just want to do something and you don't know exactly what it is that you want to do. To have it there and have it ready so that you can just start gluing into it. And you can again make your envelopes and keep your bits and pieces in your envelope, because those are really fun to collect too. You probably will wind up collecting way more than you need. You never know, because I just like to cut the things out and put them in my folder, so I do have quite a bit of bits and pieces to put in. You can even collect certain things like watches or wine bottles. I know that Shannon Green, she does collect like watches and wine bottles and that type of thing, and she'll do a whole page with just watches on it. So just go ahead and have fun with it. Just wing it, enjoy yourself. If you don't want to do all of this, just go ahead and start gluing into a magazine. Take out a few peaches now and then so that it doesn't get too fat, but you don't have to do anything special. I just kind of like to have it look a little bit different when it's done and I've completely done the front cover and everything. I think that it will look really quite neat. So, and if you make them so that they're not huge, eventually you will finish with them and you can make another one, because that's a thing people get hung up on is, oh, I never finished this and I never finished that. That's okay too. You don't have to finish things. You can make 5 glue books and glue into all of them forever and not worry about it, whether they ever get finished or not. Maybe each one is a different color or something like that. And you just work on it until you don't want to work on it anymore, and that's okay too. Because you don't want to stress over the fact of, I need to get that finished, because you don't have to finish anything. You just have to do what you feel like doing. It's creating. It's there for your enjoyment. So thank you very much for stopping by. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. For next week, we are going to need, and do I have it here? I know I have the glycerin here because I just picked it up yesterday. Okay, so for this week, we spent $3.24 on our stick glue. So I will put that in our booklet. For next week, we're going to spend more than our $7.50 because we've got a lot saved up. Next week, we are going to get 2 bottles of glycerin. These were $5.24 a piece, so there we've got $10.50 right there. And we are going to get 7 packets of gelatin. and just plain unflavored, not Jello, just plain unflavored gelatin. In the United States, it's commonly known as, like, the big brand is Knox, Knox, Knox gelatin, but we're going to want gelatin. And we're going to need 7 of the little packets of gelatin, and then 2 of the glycerins. And we'll need some hot water, and we're going to use our cookie sheet that we bought when we were doing our shaving cream painting. We're going to use that, and we'll need a bowl to stir things in that's microwave safe. We'll need hot water, a spoon. That's pretty much what we're going to need. But what we'll need to pick up is we will need to pick up 2 6-ounce bottles of glycerin, or 12 ounces of glycerin, and 7 packets of Knox gelatin. And we are going to make a jelly plate. And actually what I'm going to do is, in the bottom of this video, I am going to link my video for making a jelly plate. I'm not going to redo the video on how to make a jelly plate, because that is it's like a stop and start video, and I've already made one, and I just watched it yesterday, and it is good, has good information, it works, the whole thing works. So we're going to use that video so that if you want, you can go ahead and make your jelly plate before next Tuesday. And next Tuesday, we are going to play with the jelly plate. So I'm going to make a new one. I'm going to show you my old one from way back when, and that I actually made. And we're going to see how that works, because I haven't used it in a while, but I still have it. And so we're going to see what they look like when they get old, like I think about 10 years old. And we're going to make a new one for the series. So again, 2 6-fluid-ounce bottles of glycerin and Knox gelatin. And again, the video that I link to this, you'll see the little packets of Knox gelatin, so you'll see what they look like also. And I thought I had them close here, but I don't. But I wanted to tell you what we need, because I'm going to make it before we get here next Tuesday. And next Tuesday, we are going to play with the jelly plate. So thank you very much for stopping by. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. And I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.